finally, the weather's playing ball and we've managed to escape the pike fishing for at least one session. We've been here, well, some of us are escaping the pike fishing, but I can see two pike rods set up in the corner there. Give me two guesses to who they belong to. But yeah, roach, that's the target today. We've been fishing for about an hour. We've had a few fish. The fish are there. They're feeding quite confidently. A couple of small roach, a couple of better ones, and then if we can just ship this in. I knew this was a better fish as soon as I lifted into it. A lovely hybrid to start the day. Now these fish in here do go to much bigger sizes than this. You can get them up to about 5 or 6 pounds in here. But a fish like that, a sunrise like that,
yeah, you got it right.
And we're off to a cracker. Let's see if we get some more.
Alex has been calling these sunsets.
Aye, alright. Off the mark.
This is a hybrid. Has to be. Nice hybrid for myself. They do get a lot bigger as Alex says, but yeah, take that. Hopefully there's a bream in amongst them as well. Don't mind a wee Lomond bream.
Now I find with feeder fishing in particular that you very, very rarely get a session where the fishing's consistent from start to finish. Usually there'll be peaks and troughs and there'll be changes in the way that the fish feed. And I think the key is to try and understand what's going on out in front of you, what's going on around about your feeder, and then adapt and overcome and try to adjust to the situation. I always start with the same sort of rig, and I explained this rig briefly on the first episode. It's a cage feeder running on a loop with a twizzled boom and then a fairly long hook link. Now in this case, at the minute, it's around about 60 centimetres. And yeah, I'll start with that because I'm comfortable with it. But then as the session progresses, there is always that need to make a few changes just to suit what's going on out in front of you, like I say. And it started off great this morning. Plenty of fish, positive bites, good hook holds. But as the sessions progressed, that started to slow down a little bit. So it's time for that change. I did experiment with, rather than going shorter, which is what I would normally do, I did experiment with a much longer hook link. Almost double that. I was fishing almost 1.2 metres and fishing with casters. Casters are much more buoyant, so they'll sink slower. So fishing with casters and that longer hook link should give the bait that much more hang time as it floats down through the water column. A wee bit more visible for the fish, and it's worth the shot. On this occasion, it's not really worked. We picked up a few fish, but I still felt I was missing too many bites. So another change. The helicopter rig, I think, is in order. Back to that short hook link. Act as a bolt rig, a wee bit more aggressive, and just see if we can prick a few more. So give it a go. That's a beauty, by the way. It's a lovely fish. So the rig change is definitely helping. Another absolute unmissable bite. and it's resulted in quite a nice looking fish. That's a proper roach.
Look at the eye.
The colour of that, eh?
It's coming up so red on the camera. It's mad.
And look at the hook. Hook hold. Much more positive bite, much more positive hook hold. And if we can just nick the hook out of there.
Right into the net.
Right into the net. There we go. That's a proper one. So the rig that's made the difference, I think the main difference is coming from the length of the hook link. I've mentioned this before, if you're struggling to hit roach bites, reduce the hook length and it's much easier to see those bites. The fact that it acts as a bolt rig makes the bites almost unmissable. They're hooking themselves most of the time, and those two fish, the rod has just rattled round. Another change to that, however, is the change of feeder. They've switched to a window feeder. And what a window feeder allows you to do is just be a little bit more accurate with your feeding. We started with a cage feeder earlier on, and as soon as that cage feeder hits the water attacks that ground bait and it creates a cloud of bait in the water, which is great initially to draw fish into your swim. But then when bites become maybe a wee bit more harder to come by, it is sometimes pays just to keep your bait in a tighter, closer area. And what a window feeder will allow you to do is to keep the bait in the feeder rather than it creating that cloud of ground bait. Leaving your hook bait or your hook the only real viable option for the fish to take. Fish can't really get into the bait in here, therefore there's more chance of the fish picking this up. Just when they're that wee bit more picky, it sometimes makes a difference. The bait will eventually leave the feeder as you either strike into fish or as you bring it into recast, and it just primes the swim for the next cast. Accuracy key, make sure you're hitting that same spot over and over and over again as you would do with any type of feeder fishing. But it just goes to show, slight rig change helps make a difference. Helicopter rig, I've spoke about it before. Just go through it very simply. It is a hook link on an anti-tangle sleeve, pinned in between two float stops, twizzle boom just to help for the anti-tangle side of things, quick change link and a feeder.
Bit of weight to this. You weren't even at your rod, you were at the car. Jammy.
I think that's a bream. Feels heavy.
Never had time to get the mic on, so you'll have to excuse the howling wind.
I think it's possibly come off.
Better than a pike than a wee roach.
100% bream.
That big G right again, I think.
That's bizarre.
Aye.
Ah! Bite just in its tail.
Yeah. Sorry fish.
Pike attack.
Pike attack number one. Then they're going to attack everyone's, but when that camera's on, you can't get the body hook it. Wee Lomond Roach. Not the biggest one today, but
Pulled up again.
funny wee fish are the same. Let go. Well, we said 2:30, it's bite time. What time is it?
Don't know, about not far off after, I don't think.
If it's 2:30, that's uncanny. That's crazy, isn't it? Oh, brilliant. Didn't feel overly big, so.
Nah, nearly.
Right, we'll get another roach on. As Alex was saying about all these different rigs that he tries throughout the day, me personally, I stick with the same one all day long. But I do sometimes change the feeders up. And in this box of goodies, we've got a selection of feeders. That's the window feeder, various sizes, various weights, that's what Alex was using earlier. I'm using one of these small cage feeders. And you can fish these in line. If I pick the right size up, I'll be able to show you. Nope, that's the wrong one I know. I'm not doing well here, am I? We'll miss that bit out. So various cage feeders. There's plastic ones as well. These are wee cheap ones for the angling centre. Wee running bead on there. I've also got maggot feeders. I see that's the kind of the various ranges that we use. And this wee box, just various clips, swivels and stuff like that you might need. Some more maggot feeders underneath, all your bits and bobs, various sizes of hooks. A lot of this stuff is for the barbel trip we were on. That was the size 10s we used for the barbel, but today I've got these size 14 wide gapes on. That's the ones there. I think you've got 16s on you. You like a wee 16 number, don't you? But I say I don't change my rig too much. That was the old barbel rigs we'd made up. And underneath here there's just some more packs of beads, more feeders, maggot feeders. So that's my feeder box. A handy wee box, some wet leads as well. So that's some feeders for you. Alex into a better fish here. I lost one about half an hour ago. Hopefully you can get this one. Is it worth me getting up out my seat for?
Possibly.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Just after my lunch tea.
Oh. You ain't going to stand up.
It's barely worth the effort.
Quite bream-like feeling.
Oh, it's called a bream.
Kind of heavy lunges.
See, a wee perch or something.
There's a perch on the surface, but no other. Colin bream on this one.
Colin bream. Minus 1 point for Alex. Just had to get in. Oh. Oh.
Hybrid.
Hybrid. That's why, as you can tell with that kind of golden colour.
I was half right. slimy suckers. Definitely hybrid. A lot more roach in that. Lovely. Okay, but that's a bream, that's a skimmer. Started this morning with a couple of roach and a couple of hybrids. Thought we were into another one there, but in closer inspection, it's actually probably one of the smallest bream in here. But it is a little skimmer. Not much roach in that. In fact, I don't think there's any roach in that at all. Fins are much darker. The tails get much longer points on it. And if you have a look from the top, they're much narrower across the shoulders, whereas hybrids are quite chunky. So that is a pure bream, well, a skimmer.
It's only the second one you've caught for here, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't catch many from here at all, but
I think I've only ever caught one as well.
But that shows there might be a few more moving in, so we'll maybe up the feed a wee bit. So we've reduced the feeds by using the window feeders. Might change back to a cage feeder, get a wee bit more feed in there, and hopefully these guys will turn up in mass. Let's see. No, he's alright, it's good. No, you can tell they're bream. Ugh. Starting to lose the light now a wee bit. We will fish on. We'll fish on into darkness because that can be quite a good time. It's been a good day. It's been good. It's been constant, slow, well, consistent. Let's say consistent rather than constant. Had to change it up a little bit. The winds made it difficult, but we've had fish constantly through the day. Before it gets too dark though, let's have a wee look at what we've got in the net. We will fish on, so this might not be the end. Don't be turning off early. But yeah, let's get in it and see what we've got. Right, let's lift them in. There we have it. The day's efforts. The majority fairly small, average size roach. However, some nice hybrids in amongst them. There is an absolute lump of a hybrid in there. There it is.
One I caught.
Yeah. Nice hybrid there. I've also got there's some nice roach in here as well. I mean, that one can't be far off the pound mark. And then we even managed a bream. Not the biggest, but it's definitely a bream. And you can see the difference there in the hybrid and the bream. Hybrid is much chunkier fish, much stronger fish. Bream much deeper in the body, but a lot narrower across the top, across the shoulders. I think hybrids create quite a lot of confusion in Lomond. A lot of them are mistaken for the actual true bream, but no, that's not the case. But yeah, you can definitely see the difference in that. So decent fish, decent bag of fish. I'd go 12 pounds, something like that. But not too bad. Right, let's get them back.
Get them back.
It's always time for one more. Fin perfect fish, aren't they? Absolutely stunning. Fin perfect, scale perfect.
And a perfect wee day.
Still time for one more.
Well, that was a half decent bite. Not a bad wee fight. But daft arse behind the camera there, I forgot to press record. But there we go. Nice wee fish to end on. A couple of beeps off that pike rod there, so a wee bit of interest in that as well. But it's been a good day's fishing. Plenty of fish caught, plenty of fish missed. The resident cormorants had a fair few roach and all. Back to Loch Lomond. We'll get him back. You get the hook out first, anyway.
Well, it's dark, like we said, as always.
No shit, Sherlock. Well, it's safe to say the PBs are still safer.
They're still safe.
The £2 a roach still eludes.
£2 is going to be hard to beat, so the fact it's going to be hard to get anywhere near. That's the plan, no, it's the aim.
It's now a good time to mention what my PB is.
You're going to mention it anyway, aren't you?
£1.12.
£1.12. Stunning fish, biggest fish I've ever seen, or biggest roach I've ever seen. Anyone catch. Then,
Still one of the best fish we've caught as a team in it.
yeah, stunning, absolutely stunning. Mine's
Up there anyway.
Yeah, mine's still miles off. Mine's still £1.6, so I've got a long way to go. If I can get anywhere near 112, I'll be over the moon.
I think we'll be blind by the time we're finished this. That's right.
But,
So a good mixed bag of there. Bream, roach, hybrids.
Aye,
Some
but
decent examples as well.
it was tricky though, wasn't it? They get really finicky. After a good start this morning.
Aye, the bites were vicious, you couldn't have missed them.
Aye, they hung themselves.
Even
this
I
morning.
hooked them.
And then it just dropped off. We had to make a few changes. Well, some of us had to make a few changes. It worked for, well, nah, it didn't work.
It did, to be fair, but
Aye.
we broke into double figures with a
Consistently.
bag of fish. So
Consistently caught fish all day, but
couple of drop runs in the pike rod towards the end, that was it. None.
he can't help himself.
I know. The cormorant done better than us, didn't he? He'd a queerdy. He would work his way around the bay. Must have some of the size of roach he was swallowing down the hole were unreal.
Bye. Another day done.
So, roach, so, stop saying so. What's this playlist called?
Something to do with roach. Don't know
Roach
yet.
fishing.
The series is still to be named.
This is part 2 anyway. Same as the Essex diaries, we're going to try and document everything, the ups and the downs and the different techniques that we've tried, different locations, but aye, we'll try and drop in the odd wee hint and tip that we certainly find helps us, but
We're by no
when it
means
comes to the roach
experts
fishing,
at any of this, you know, it is.
well, you are in comparison to me. I spend most of the time nodding off.
It does help to stay awake when you're feeder fishing.
But see when it's dead like that, you know,
That's when you need to work hard. That's when you need to get.
I work hard and I get work and get paid for it.
He lets me work hard and then he wakes up when the fish are getting caught. But,
So, but better be next Saturday, we've not made any plans yet. You're hoping for the grailing.
can't wait to get out for the grailing, so.
We was trying to talk us into it last night, but he couldn't get the permits.
Permits aren't available to the end of the month. But
So, I'll be roach and pike, I think.
yeah.
Right, well, cheers again. Hope to see you next, wherever it is we end up.
We'll see you there.
Enjoy. See you later. Right, fucking day, so carry on again.